Hi guys, this is Nadia Hilker. I'm playing Magna on The Walking Dead, and you guys are listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast, and I'm sending you all my love. Bye!
Hello, my name is Cassie McClincy. I play Lydia on The Walking Dead, and you're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through. Yeah!
Hey there guys, I'm Callan McAuliffe, and you're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through on Talk Through Media.
Hey, I'm Lindsley Register, and I play Lara on The Walking Dead. You're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through on Talk Through Media.
Hey, this is Ross Marquand, and you're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through.
Awesome.
Hey survivors, welcome to episode 150 of The Walking Dead Talk Through. I'm Kyle.
And I'm LT.
And I'm Brian.
Yay! 150. Wow. Goodness.
The sesquicentennial episode.
I'm like, it didn't hit me until you said it just before we started. But yeah, 150. And Fear is at 99. So that's going to have a little, thing too when we do a next episode for that.
Yep.
So,
coming up soon.
Yep.
No, it's awesome. 150. It's been, what a wild ride. We've got.
So I was going to say, how many episodes do we have left after this one?
Two.
This one, two.
Now, just like you were complaining about the OCD about episode 21 being Outpost 22, if they'd have done one less episode, then I could have said it was our sesquicentennial episode is the penultimate episode of the series.
Instead, it's the
next to the
penultimate eve. There's a word.
Oh, I know.
That.
There's a word.
I
for
just
it.
don't remember what it is.
I'd have to phone a friend.
Or
I know who would know.
Oh, I know who would know.
Ruthie would know. She's listening to us right now.
That was
like
the friend I was
going
to phone. That's the friend I was going to phone.
Anyway.
Anyways, all right. Well, we're going to be covering The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 22, titled Faith. We didn't have any feedback from last week's episode to cover, so let's get into this week's. It was written by Nicole Mirante-Matthews Magali Lozano, directed by Rose Troche, and description on AMC Plus was Ezekiel and Negan plan a labor revolt. Eugene stands trial. All right, let's get into ratings. LT, what do you give this episode?
Well, based on the conversation we had in an earlier episode of the podcast, I'm giving it a 9.7 out of 10. I thought you were dead. Or Warden. Nom 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 nom.
That was a fun scene. Oh goodness. Well, I gave it a 9.8. Ocean gone. Or Negan is now Megan the vegan, because that's what my autocorrect kept doing when I was typing my notes during the rewatch.
Oh yeah, it loves to do that.
Yeah, and I just finally I don't know the vegan part came from. It was just like I was typing, doing backspace, and I just said forget it, and I just let it be Megan, and then the vegan popped up. So, all right, so Negan is no longer known as Negan.
It also loves to call him Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I just let it happen.
Or Megan. Or vegan. I'm going to give it a 9.8 as well. And I'll say, censoring myself, time to up. Or something I picked up on the episode diaries, 9.8 J. Crew Wardens. And specifically, I'm referring to something, I think I'll say her name right, Medina Senghor or Senghori, who plays Annie, mentioned in that episode diaries that every time she would see the warden and the way he was dressed, he looked like some, J. Crew model. And every time she saw him, she'd start laughing hysterically. And she wasn't sure if it was the cold or if it was actually funny, but she would laugh every time she'd see him.
Yeah.
But in looking at him, he was a pretty fancy dresser.
Yes.
He didn't quite have the pouty face and the looking aside, the typical, J. Crew male model look.
Well, yeah. But he did have the kind of like the jacket that like had a like.
Oh, he had the wardrobe for it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and he was pretty. He was very pretty. So I could see that for sure. Oh
well, he was pretty until he had his nose bitten off.
Oh, was it his nose or was it his eye?
I just know it was like facial region and
cheek eye.
It pretty well pegged LT squickometer. So.
Oh yeah, eye needles, but eye teeth.
Yeah. It was just
yeah.
And I'll go ahead and say it. Look, I've seen real dead people that, had real nasty things happen to them, but zombie show makes me go, ugh!
Well, you only have a few more. Well, I guess actually not, but you'll get a break after a couple more. All right, well, let's get into our listeners' ratings. Our first one comes from Dieta from Detroit, and she gave it a 10 out of 10. It's about to go down. The takedown has begun.
Gliz from Toronto gives it an 8 out of 10. You, me, down the shit tunnel.
Renee from Fairburn says 100 out of 100. We're about to F some shit up. Muscle emoji.
Mike from Asheville gave it a 9.5 out of 10. Answer the question.
And Ivan from Minnesota gives it an 8.5 out of 10. No martyrs here.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, listeners, for your ratings. Definitely was a good episode for sure. So I'm glad to see everybody's enjoying it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's get into our awesome sauce. All right. First up is Dieta from Detroit, and her awesome starts off with Carol's bullseye shot to the head for the kill. Daryl with the sneak up behind the back kill of the Commonwealth Outpost leader, Morgan, right in the nick of time. Yeah, that was cool for sure.
Yes, it was.
He had a name? I didn't think he had a name.
Yeah, I didn't catch that either, but
or maybe she's just Morgan was changed to Warden. Like it was supposed to be Warden, but it turned into Morgan with spell check.
I don't know. And just to sidebar this, did they do an in memoriam on Talking Dead?
I did not see.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, that was kind of sad.
According to Wikipedia, they just have him listed as the Warden.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and how ironic would it be if his name was Warden Morgan?
I don't see them him being Morgan because then there'd be two Morgans, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, let's go on. She says Rosita's Walker torture kill after not getting information about her daughter. Our people do not play about their kids. Yes. And finally, Mercer has joined the uprising. Loved his classic line. Yeah, yes. That was the exclamation point at the end of the episode.
And apparently that was ad-libbed.
Oh, yeah.
According to Angela Kang in the episode, or the discussion after the episode on AMC Plus.
Oh, good, because it was kind of finally time to finally see more Mercer step up.
Yep.
All right, next.
Okay, next is Glennis from Toronto who says, Pamela, your days are numbered. Countdown started T-2 episodes and counting.
Yep. she's definitely getting to it's not that I didn't, already kind of have that same feeling about her, especially now that we're seeing how evil and diabolical she is. But she's getting up to there where, like with Sebastian, where I'm just like, I can't wait to see how she dies. Because her walking away from the courtroom, that smirk on her face, I was just like, oh, like I want to see her.
Oh yeah,
fitting death.
And I have another question about that, because I looked at her and I couldn't remember. Was the judge one of the people that was in the room when Yumiko busted into Pamela's office? I kind of think she might have been.
I would have to go back.
Yeah,
I would have to go back as well. I don't think so, but
well,
it's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah. Next is Ivan from Minnesota. He says the acting from everyone, especially Jeffrey Dean Morgan, major chills. Eugene's speech was epic and shows how incredible his evolution has been. And then Luke and Jules are back. That ending, iconic Mercer moment. Yes, all of that I agree with.
Yep.
Okay. And then next up is Renee from Fairburn, who says the whole damn episode. And she gives it 200%. Listen, do not, and I mean do not mess with the mother and her children. She will take out the whole world barehanded if she needs for her children. Maggie and Rosita were not playing about their babies. Not one person said a word to Rosita when she was questioning the warden about Coco, because they knew if they attempted to intervene, it would get and she's got two big flexes there. It was Negan attempting to sacrifice himself for his wife and his kid. And she goes on to say, daddies don't play about their children either. All I could think about was they better be glad Rick and Michonne were not there, because, baby, it would have been World War II, 3, 4, and 5. And she's got 2 shrugs after that. Rick took out somebody's jugular about Carl, and I loved every minute of it. And Michonne killed children to get Judith back. Mm-hmm. She goes on to say, Eugene subliminally appealing to Mercer during that speech was epic. And then Zeke and the rest of our peeps standing in front of Negan and his wife was the epitome of what our people stand for. One for all and all for one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Gosh, it was really, really, really great episode for sure. All right, well, last comes from Mike from Asheville, and he says, courtroom drama. It was clear and obvious Eugene never had a chance to win, but as I say, it's all about getting through to the people, and boy howdy, did they ever. Yep, that speech was awesome, for sure. Negan being Negan-y, as Renee said, parents don't play when it comes to their children. He has laser focused to give his kid a fighting chance. And Mercer is finally on board. It took a lot of speeches to get him there, but even he can't ignore what he witnessed in the courtroom. Exactly. Yeah, I just like, you listeners definitely hit everything that, obviously I think we would have all, said. It was kind of made it hard this time because I'm like, that's pretty much everything I would have said. I didn't have anything more really to add. It just...
Speak for yourself.
Well, okay, at least for me, then.
I got a lot.
I just, again, they're just giving us so much these episodes. It's just like, the acting, just these tense situations. Like Rosita was just like, obviously, yeah, we know, they're trying to find their kids, and that's we would expect, the mamas are going to be like, where's my children, I'm going to rip your jugular out. But it was like to see Maggie basically get Herschel back, after we've seen her with her little heart-to-hearts. I guess she had another one with Carol, but then it was like, oh yeah, don't forget about Rosita. And then seeing her walk in, seeing that Coco wasn't there, and then her running trying, basically that set her off. That it just, oh man, it was so good. And then what she did to the warden, like, oh, I loved it. Yeah, everybody's standing back just like, yeah, you just pissed off the wrong person. It's like, we're her kids. It's smart about
because nobody was going, hey, stop.
Yeah, like don't like, well, that, and also it's like, I guess, like that no one was stopping her to be like, hey, no, let's keep him alive to get that information. They were just all like, nope, he crossed the line. She's mad. Let her have it.
Well, it's one of those things. He was a big enough, shall I say, he was a big enough dick to everybody that I don't think even his own guys were like, well, he sucked to work for anyway.
Yep, that's true.
So, we had our big Les Miserables moment there, and now we get to see what happens next.
Yes. 2 episodes left. So sad. All right. Well, that was all of our listeners' awesome sauce. So, LT, why don't you take it first?
Okay, I have some awesome sauce. I went ahead and listed the kangaroo court in my awesome sauce because we knew that Eugene wasn't going to get a fair shake, that this was going to be, the old classic Old West movie. He's going to get a fair trial and then he's going to get a fair hanging. But just the way they played it, where they weren't even trying to hide the fact that this was just a show trial with a pre-drawn conclusion. That Yumiko was lawyering her butt off, and the judge was like, nope, sorry. And I went, and the thing that I picked up on was not just the way that, Pamela was crying at one moment and then she was all harsh, stern the next. It was the eye contact between her and the judge. Mm. That if you notice, she would look at Yumiko and then she would look at Pamela, and then she would look at Pamela and look at Pamela and then look at Yumiko and look at Pamela. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was pretty well a done deal. And I think that even the people in the Commonwealth that were kind of on the fence about this whole thing, they were going, well, look, this isn't right. This isn't fair. That it maybe our idyllic way of life hangs at the balance here, but we haven't had anything like this happen, and this is just wrong. And I can't sit here and just, how many times did they just turn their back, take a blind eye to something that happened, sort of write off all those people that disappeared. Mm-hmm. But I think this was like a bridge too far for your average folk in the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
So my next bit of awesome sauce is, he isn't dead after all. For some reason, I had thought that Luke was dead. We hadn't seen him in a while. He just sort of disappeared. Yeah. And for some reason, my brain was telling me that he had gotten killed somehow. So it was kind of cool to see him alive. I do have some additional editorial comment about that later, but, it's good to see some of the, old folks that are actually still kicking and, bring them back for the last 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw an awesome sauce for the fact that as soon as Lydia got that look in her eye when she saw the walkers, I knew what she was going to do. Yeah. I mean, she has a secret weapon in her skill set. And I'm thinking, as soon as she looked and you saw that expression on her face, I said, she's going to whisper walk that herd. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. Yep. And the side note to that is, I thought it was hysterical seeing Jerry in a gut poncho. Only because Jerry is so big. And I'm thinking, there's never been a walker his size. I mean, come on. Even if Beta had ended up being a walker, he wouldn't be Jerry sized. And it's kind of like, what's that walker been eating? But seeing everybody in their raincoats with their hoods pulled up, and I'm going, awesome, really awesome. And then the fact of you see all the little skinny walkers and there's Jerry. It's like, yes, we have a monster walker. Jerry. And like we've already mentioned, that moment when all the Alexandrians, rallied together. And I know that there's going to be more comments about Negan and, things that he did and Negan being Negan-y. And the fact that, once again, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is, bringing it. But when he was, the whole juxtaposition of he was on his knees in front of the firing squad. And when they brought Annie out and he was doing that, take me, not her, take me. And to me, that is the maximum swing of his redemption arc. That Negan, somebody who we have known has never been a self-sacrificing sort, that he's done some things and he's, put people in harm's way, and he's taken some risks himself. Look at what he did when he infiltrated the Whisperers. But this was, absolute self-sacrifice. He said, kill me, not my wife, not my kid. And whenever, even though we know that they still have some things to work out, the fact that Ezekiel and everybody else were willing to stand up, and it's the difference between our folks and everybody else. You can say what you want to, but the heroes of the show will always come together and, be unified when things get bad. And that's the difference of why I think they have survived in the context of the show, because even when things get really, really bad, they manage to maintain that group cohesion. And that even in the risk of, all of them could have been shot, that they were all going to stand up and protect one of their own.
Yeah. I loved it that, we're seeing Negan basically trying to sacrifice himself to protect, his kid and his wife. But the fact that Ezekiel came around and I don't know, Negan's like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know. Or I don't know yet. And he just but he did, out of everything that we saw them when they had their little conversation where he's like, I don't like you. I'll never basically forgive you, even though if you said you're sorry, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, when the time came, it was just no, he's still a part of their so-called family that,
we're still one group and we're all going to stand up for each other.
Right.
Yeah. And I think maybe, the fact that he's got a kid coming, made Ezekiel kind of realize maybe a little bit that, he's worth saving. Mm-hmm. And the sacrifice, obviously, because he was going to sacrifice himself so that his wife could live.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also it's not like it, and there's no blame on Annie. She didn't,
right.
She knows Negan in a completely different context, so it's, I don't know. It's
yeah, but she does know, Negan told her pretty much everything that was going on with her. So
yeah.
And she may not know it in the full context of what everybody else knows, but I think that he told her, and knowing the character Negan and the way he is, I guarantee you he didn't gloss over it, and he didn't cut corners, and he shot straight with her.
I agree.
Yep. Agree.
Yeah.
So, and my last bit of awesome sauce is I'm going to have to go with Mercer. That, we have known that his character was conflicted with what was going on. And we knew that he was a straight shooter and he's an honest guy at heart. And he was just put in a position where he had to do what he had to do because it was his job. But I think that when he finally got to the point where he was pushed, that one extra push, that he said, no, this can't go on any longer.
Yeah.
And I mean, we could also say, and two, he is trying to save his potential brother-in-law.
Yeah.
But, you know, Mercer has always struck me as, you know, a very, you know, honest, morally driven guy. And I think that there's that point where, you know, you reach that shore of the Rubicon and you have to cross it. And, you know, you realize that this is going to screw things up, and this is not necessarily what I have been standing for, but, you know, my own code, my own, you know, feelings of how things should be. I can't, you know, stomach this anymore.
Yep. Right. Exactly.
So and the only side note I have is hopefully the guys that Mercer has that are on his side
are more effective.
Are more effective than the guys that we've seen up to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he made sure to get the brightest and more capable of all
hopefully he's got the high end stormtroopers on his side.
Oh, I guess we'll see. Oh, goodness. All right. Well, Brian, what did you have?
Well, unlike last time and several other times, I have notes, thankfully. Good notes. Anyway, well, some of the things have already been mentioned, but I will mention them again. Luke and Jules, I totally forgot about them.
Yeah.
they were no longer in my frame of reference. It had been so long since we'd seen them that I had forgotten they were even alive, but even characters for that matter. I just had forgotten about them. So that one thing. We have another new term for zombies said by Elijah, a climber.
Mm-hmm.
So we always like to see that. One thing that brought that enhanced the episode, I thought, was some great background audio. And when during the trial, there's that scene where Pamela claimed that the tape was altered, and you could hear a couple people in the audience saying, "Yes, it was." And then somebody else said, "Did you just hear what she said? That's bullshit." Anyway, I love that. And I also love the look on Yumiko's face once Pamela finished what she said. She kind of like gave her a like kind of thing. You listeners, you can't see it, but I'm kind of like, did you just really say that? Are you kidding me? Kind of face. Connie knowing Daryl was scared at one point. I like that because we don't normally see Daryl being scared. So them acknowledging that, like, he's always been, you know, I'm sure he's been scared at times, particularly when, Negan did his thing in season 7, but, and various times, but I like the fact that Connie like called him on it. And that kind of goes to show you like how well she knows him and how well she can read that on his face and can like, pick up on that emotion. Another character that I forgot about, Tyler Davis, who was the guy that he was the Commonwealth, the Commonwealth Guard who Princess had to deal with at the train station, and then later tried to attack the governor, whether he was going to actually kill her or whatever. I thought that was I didn't, like I said, I forgot about that character, and I tend to think we're going to see him play a role in the next couple of episodes. Maybe he's the one that ends up shooting the governor in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say that, I love the new Negan. I really do. He's probably the most complex character on the show, I think. And he's always been entertaining, but I really like this good Negan versus the bad Negan. It makes me think that Rick Grimes would be proud right now that, saving him for what he's doing now. It just shows that he was redeemable, and good on him, good on Rick. Because I think he was probably the only one really that didn't want to kill him. So there's that. I noticed that there were a few things that were reminders of past episodes, like, for example, the way JSS just survives somehow, and Carol kind of infiltrating reminded me of how she was the one woman attack assault vehicle, I guess you could say, getting rid of the wolves in season 6. And of course, already mentioned, but the Whisperer tactics, but it was sort of an amalgam, like a combination of Whisperer stuff and the stuff we'd seen way back in season 1, episode 2, Guts. What Rick and Glenn did walking through the streets of Atlanta with the walkers. Because they weren't wearing masks this time. They were wearing, zombie guts. So in that way, it was different. So, the Ezekiel Negan moment, getting that explanation about Benjamin, which I'm going to just say this now. We think we're going to take it out, but I accidentally got this mixed up with the last episode. So I talked about this last night. So anyway, but Benjamin was his name. I didn't remember last night when we were talking about it, but Benjamin, Henry's older brother, who was killed by that asshole, and I couldn't remember his name either, Jared, who was played by Joshua Michael, who I met at a Walker Stalker Con, the only one I ever went to in Orlando in 2018. I talked to him and asked a question at one of the speaker events or whatever. And the last thing, because we kind of sped over it when it was talked about before, but Rosita's feeding the walker the warden. Mm-hmm. What a jerk. So I think he deserved that. A fitting death for a big old jerk. So
yeah, another satisfying
yes,
death.
Very satisfying.
And death of the big old Gap model.
Yeah, and I'll say it now. I have it in the show notes, but for some reason, and I don't think it's him, but he sounds like one of the announcers that's on those Capital One commercials. Every time he would talk, I kept on like thinking, go Capital One. And I'm like, was he ever in one of those commercials or not? Or does he just sound like that other guy that's on those Capital One commercials? I don't know. But
what's in your wallet?
What's in your wallet? Exactly. Zombie guts.
It's all right. Yeah, he was very pretty for being, this jerk of a guy. So
ginger.
Yep. Well, we
haven't had a lot of gingers on this show. We've had Abraham and this guy, and who else would be a redhead? I can't think of anybody else.
Was the guy that they took care of or threw off the roof at the beginning with Aaron and at that whatever the real big asshole
that guy
was he redhead?
He might have been. Yeah, I know the guy you're talking about. Carlson.
Yeah,
I think it's his name. Yeah.
So I could be just thinking wrong, but that popped in my head.
Because you know what they say about redheads. So,
yeah.
Sorry, redheads. Don't mean anything by it. Just joking. That's it for me. That's everything.
Yeah, I didn't really have much more to say other than kind of just agreeing. Like, I really did like Lydia, Aaron, Jerry, Jules, Luke, and all them, like, doing the whisper moves. That was cool to see. And really, that, like what you said, LT, it was like as soon as Lydia looked over at that walker on the ground, it was the face, like, at first I was all like, oh, is that person, is that one wearing a mask? But, it was just the way the face looked. But, I was like, yep, that is her skill set. That is what she knows how to do. Like, the Commonwealth, they've, as far as we know, have never run into the Whisperers, and talk about a tactic that, would work to either lead a herd towards, the gates or, whatever. I guess we'll see what they're going to do with them. But, it was just fun to see. And, I thought it was interesting, like you said, Brian, though. It's like, so we did kind of see, we got the little whisperer tactics, but then, just like what Rick and Glid did back in season 1, just wearing basically just like coats or whatever, and then just covering themselves with guts. I thought it was interesting, though, that it was just kind of like, they definitely didn't seem to have a whole lot on them. Like, their faces were pretty clean, and it was like, I don't know, I just kind of was thinking like, oh, I guess, we want to be able to see their faces, since it was really, really dark. And sometimes watching the show when it's really dark, it's hard to even see anything. But I kind of was like, oh, they pulling a little bit of that fear move where they just like took a swipe of blood, put it across their forehead, and then it's like, boom, I'm invisible. And then of course Rosita, and then also Mercer coming finally coming around, and doing the right thing. I kind of wonder, though, if, I'm not sure if someone said it in feedback coming up, but it was like, I wonder when Yumiko, met with Mercer to kind of try to push him to be like, hey, we need your help. Like, I want, come to get on the stand and, and confront Pamela. I wonder, did maybe Mercer have something already going on that he was just like not wanting to say to her, or like whatever, that was he already kind of trying to plot something, but just knowing he's
go ahead. Sorry.
No, just basically it's like that's why he was like, I don't want to keep going on the stand in public like that, because he's got, he wants to stay back because he was wanting to, set his pieces in motion, if that's kind of what his plan was. But I don't know. Because, I mean, that would make sense at the end where he already had soldiers, on his side, and knew that he was going to be the one probably meeting with Eugene to put him to his death in the prison, so it's kind of like, that kind of was what I got out of that.
That was something that Angela Kang brought up in the after show, like the little segment that they play on AMC Plus after the episode. She said that Mercer, probably had, she said Mercer had something going, but she couldn't tell Yumiko, or he couldn't tell Yumiko, sorry, what it was. But the question that I have with that is, what was it? I mean, what was he going to do before, the rest of it? I guess he probably knew that, that Eugene was going to, end up being guilty, and, probably knew enough that enough was enough, maybe even at the point where, she tried to, say that the tape was altered,
yeah,
which is like the biggest pile of crap I ever heard in my life.
Well, I mean, you could just see how Pamela at the very beginning, when the trial, or at least when we first are seeing the trial going, of her crying about her son and like all this stuff. And it was kind of like, I wanted to see people in the crowd being just like eye roll, like, yeah, Sebastian was an asshole. Like, yeah.
Well,
like,
and not only that, I mean, no tears were spilled there were crocodile tears. That whole like you killed my son, and no actual tears were spilled on her on the stand there, and so I think that anyway, getting back to what you were saying about Mercer, I'm pretty sure that he did have something going. It's just, did he have what he was planning already in motion, or was it kind of like a split decision thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. And we may know more next week.
Yeah. If anything, though, he is now on board. So let's see what's going to happen. Let's see where he can, move. All righty. Well, if there's nothing else, let's get into our weak sauce.
You're worthless and weak.
All right. Well, we just have the one from Ivan from Minnesota, and he said, "So, remember that cliffhanger at the end of 11B? ? Well, apparently the writers didn't really either, LOL. They just mentioned it got taken over, but we don't get to see anything. Seriously? All would have taken like 2 minutes." I roll, and he's talking about Oceanside.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, yeah, I get that. I get that.
Yeah. It's like, that was a question when we, started this back half or whatever. It was just like, wait, okay, what happened to Oceanside? But yeah, now we've been basically given the deets on that.
Well, yeah, but we still haven't seen anything.
No, and I don't think we will. So I think this, what we, with Jules and Luke showing up, basically.
Yeah, but that's lame.
Yeah, I know.
Where's that one guy, the guy that had, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but the guy that had Michonne on the island?
Oh, yeah. We have, what happened? Because he was with Connie in the House of Horrors. And then,
he was, yeah.
Then he was.
And then he was gone.
Well, but wasn't he at Alexandria for like a short time? Because I thought he had an interaction with Judith or something in one of the houses. So I don't know. Maybe
don't recall that, but
yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. He did just kind of disappear. So either he was at Oceanside and we just don't know, or or he just went back to his little drug-induced island thingy that he was living at. Guess we'll never know, will we, Heath?
Oh, we may.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was all the listeners' week sauce. So let's go into ours. Which, LT, I guess you're the only one that has one.
Yes, and since I already said something, I'm going to mention it again. And it's thanks, Ivan. You made me add one. But yeah. So what about Oceanside? Did we just not renew the lease to shoot there?
If I'm not mistaken, they shot like out by Savannah or something. I don't know if they shot all of it, but I know the water scenes were out there. So, maybe it didn't make sense. Maybe it was too cold. Who knows? But
who knows?
Yeah. Virgil was the guy I was just thinking of. Virgil, played by Kevin Carroll. That's who it was.
Yep.
And I guess my other weak sauce is, so the Commonwealth takes over Alexandria and makes it an outpost. Obviously, in the same vein of our can't shoot straight, can't fight, can't sneak, don't observe. Obviously, they didn't take a walk around and look for things like manholes, sewer grates, tunnels under the buildings.
Yep.
So, obviously these Commonwealth guys are completely oblivious to their surroundings. And again, if there's ever an apocalypse and I become a warlord and I take over a town like Alexandria, the first thing I'm going to do is survey the grounds carefully and with great detail, because I want to know every bump, every turn, every blade of grass, every hole in the ground. just to make sure that I don't have Daryl Dixon sneaking through a pipe and jumping up in the back, to shank me in the head. Like I said, it's just back to, okay, we know that our people know every inch of that ground. And I do believe that last episode I said, oh yes, oh, Brer Rabbit, throw me in the briar patch. So we're going to send them right back to where they know where they're at. And guess what, Warden? You're dead because of it.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah, they're just not too smart, are they?
Well, and like I said, it's just that to me is, glaringly weak.
Yes, I would agree.
I still consider them like stormtroopers. That's they're about as effective.
Well, I'd say even stormtroopers are a little more effective than that.
Yeah, they're just they do play, but they play that role, and it is kind of, again, like I said before, that it was just like, it's not too terribly fun to watch because it's just like so like blatant and obvious.
Yes, because they're so bad.
Yeah, right.
And we've said it on this podcast. I'm sure that everybody that's listened to us has heard us say it, that we really would like a higher grade of bad guy.
Yeah.
Their whole menace is just the fact that they're there.
Yeah.
It's not that they possess some, cunning martial skills or can shoot and fight or, have an uncanny ninja-like perception of their surroundings. No, it's just the fact that they're there and they're the bad guys.
Right. They're window dressing.
So that's it for me.
Okay. Yeah, I had some Oceanside comments, but I left that for my Watts, so I'll leave it there to talk about. All right, Brian, did you have anything?
Not for week. I actually put mine in oh hell no sauce.
Oh,
so
sweet.
Yeah, I never done that before, so this is a first.
Awesome. You can join. I think Renee had some. Oh, sweet. All right. Well, then let's get into our what sauce.
What?
We got one just from Deanna from Detroit. She said, looks like we have another variant sighting this time. It picks up the knife that our people dropped! Exclamation. That's not good. Ooh. And then I guess it's a worried, I don't know what kind of emoji that is. Just an emoji. And yeah, I guess I put in a little comment here. I guess my name didn't get in the doc, but it's like, I guess we are going to start getting more variants because now we're seeing one show up. Because I know that we talked about when we, in that episode with the medieval times, I think we talked about, it's like, oh, okay, are we like, was this a one-off? Like, how is this going to play? And I think now we're kind of getting the idea, like, yeah, these variants are going to, who knows if they play any kind of big role, but they're definitely there, and our people are worried about it because Elijah even, that's when come up with the whole new, like, the climbers.
Yep.
And Aaron, I think, said something like, hey, we've only seen that one, so we don't know if there's more out there. Again, I guess setting up for shows to come, I'm assuming. But gosh, are we going to get the Isle of the Dead spinoff? And like in New York, like all the walkers are variants, and they're like climbing and like doing, like doing parkour off of walls, chasing everybody. I'm curious about that.
They're in New York. They're walking around, not making eye contact with each other, looking at their phones, drinking coffee.
And eating avocado toast off other freshly dead humans.
Yes.
Anyways. Oh, all right. Well, thank you, Dieta. All right. Well, that was all listeners' what sauces. So I guess let's just go into ours. I'll bring mine up since we were just talking about Oceanside, or that has been being brought up. So here's my what is kind of like, well, of I guess the time frame, because we have talked about, okay, so basically Alexandria got taken over when Hornsby, did his whole little, like, I'm basically taking over all these, like, communities and gonna try to set things up. And then we see him at Oceanside doing his little coin flip. So then we get back into the rest of everybody, and here we are having another Founders Day, and then we're having this, now we're having, Eugene's trial. So I'm like, how long has it been? Because now here's Jules and Luke, like, they run into Aaron, and then they're talking about how, the Commonwealth took over and that Rachel, like, told them to leave, and get out of there. And then I was just like, okay, well, how long has this been then? Because how long have they been running around in the forest trying to get away? Or have they, or were they at Oceanside for the time that the Commonwealth took over, and now they were just like, okay, we have to get out of here, and maybe the Commonwealth was starting to kill people or do whatever. So I don't know. There was this whole little kind of time weirdness of like, wait, like, when did you escape? When did all this happen? How long has it been that they're just now, like, and they left at the right time, that Aaron just happened to be heading that direction. So I don't know. It was just very convenient that, like, all of a sudden that's like, this is how this all happened. And then this is how we're going to hear about Oceanside. And I don't know, has it been a year? Was it just 6 months? Was it 2 weeks? So that was all I really had about that. What'd you have, LT?
Well, it's sort of what you just said. So how long have they been out in the woods? Because to me, it didn't appear that they were that dirty, that disheveled, like they've been on the run for months on end.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it goes back to what you just said, that time frame seems to be pretty malleable at this point, because I can't see that with that minimal equipment that they were carrying with them, that they've been out in the woods for months on end. And with all the stuff we've had going on, do you think that the Commonwealth guys wouldn't have found them by now? And if that's the case, if they have just escaped from Oceanside and they've been running through the woods for months on end, they haven't made much progress.
Right. They didn't get very far.
And again, maybe it's just me, but if I had just escaped from somewhere that had people that were trying to kill me, and having a general idea of where I was, I would want to get as much distance between me and the place where the people were trying to kill me as possible.
Mm-hmm.
If it's bad there, go somewhere else. And they know where other places are. They know where Hilltop is. They know where Alexandria is. Of course, Alexandria is probably no better than Oceanside at this point. But they do have an idea where other settlements are, where other places are. They've been places themselves. So the fact that they're still in close proximity to Oceanside tells me that someone really didn't pay attention to the calendar when they wrote this scene. Either that, or while I am glad to see the two of them back, I guess of all the stuff they took with them, they didn't take a compass. Maybe they've just been wandering around in circles.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just really, that's my, and normally, you've noticed that I typically just go for weeks, that I haven't really had anything that rose to a what, but this is whatting me quite hard. I just am struggling with the fact of, how long has it been?
Right.
Because if you paid attention to what we've covered previously, it's been months and months since all that went down.
Right.
And again, I find it really problematic that they're that close to Oceanside and things have gone bad if it's been months and months.
Right. Yeah, I guess maybe.
Yeah, true.
Maybe they obviously, when they were trying to finish, I guess, writing for the rest of, to how to end all this, that Oceanside just kind of got pushed to the side, obviously, because, none of this is making any, sense time-wise. And it was like, I was just thinking while you were talking, that I was kind of like, well, maybe things just got bad now, and then this is when they just left recently. But then it's kind of like, well, but then the last shot we ever saw of Oceanside was Hornsby flipping his coin and looking all menacing with all the Commonwealth people. So it's like, so it wasn't a hunky-dory situation to begin with.
Right.
So
there was a lot of standing in line with your hands raised, having guns pointed at you.
Right. And then jump forward a couple months or however long later that it's like, oh, now we're going to leave. Yeah. This is just how they did it, just to kind of get this written off of the little checklist to be like.
And get the characters reintroduced because they may do something pivotal or be in a background shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just for there might be one or two lurking naysayers out there that, yes, that only merited a 0.3 of a point deduction, but that was a big 0.3. So,
yeah. Oh, goodness. All right, Brian, did you have any whatses?
Nope. Mine will be said in the next one, in the oh hell no sauce.
All right. Well, let's get right on to that. Here's the oh hell no sauce.
Oh, hell no.
Well, since you have the only oh hell no sauce, you want to take Renee's and then just go into yours?
Sure. Renee from Fairburn says, Eugene, stop all of that frickin' blubbering. He really pisses me off with all that crap. Pamela, if you don't sit your bald-headed, even though I love her haircut, shrug, ass, down somewhere with all of that fake-ass crying, ma'am, you killed your son by trying to force him into someone he was clearly not out to be, and by allowing him to be a pompous C-word.
Beep.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that word.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, that's strong.
That was a strong one. Yeah.
Wow. I think that's the first time we've had sounds like bunt mentioned in comments.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Does that even? Well, I guess I've already been cussing, so it's like that.
Well, yeah,
solidifies
but
the check mark for a explicit on this podcast this episode.
Well, if I had said it.
Well, no, I'm saying, but just even like insinuate, like just the idea of everybody knows what that word is.
Well, I mean, if you want, we could just say it and then throw the explicit on, and then we won't be heard in India and several other countries. But which I find funny, by the way. But anyway, yeah. So the fact that I'm acknowledging and having an oh hell no sauce is finally acknowledgement that this category exists. So, because I've always been very reluctant to add another sauce. That's why on the Star Trek podcast, there were only 3 categories. We never got beyond 4, and now we have 5. So on here. But I just said Pamela's crocodile tears and then claiming that the tape was faked. Oh, hell no. Hell no. Like the people in the crowd said, that's bullshit.
Yep.
So, and that I think we can say the S word, but
yep.
Beyond that, I think it goes into TVMA or whatever the podcast equivalent would be
Yeah.
explicit, I guess. Yeah. So the audacity of her saying that to me was just like, really?
Well,
you think you could say that? Like,
right.
and anyone's going to believe you?
Right, and it was like how it all played out too. Like, Yumiko was like almost kind of calling her out, like, "Hey, we heard the tape." It's like that everyone's heard the tape. Like, your son's voice is on there, and like she pauses and is like almost kind of like, "Oh no, Yumiko trapped her." Like how is she going to get out of that? And then sure enough, it was blatantly false. Everybody could see it, but yeah. That was her, but that was the answer. This is, it was already rigged. So she could have said, it's like, no, she could have said anything. And
I think Mercer should arrest her for perjury.
I think a little something harsher than that.
Maybe that, I know. I know, but it's like Al Capone with tax evasion.
Yeah.
You gotta use something, whatever it is.
Yeah, I can't get you for the real crimes, but
well, if you think about it, like if it's at all like a presidential thing, if you lied, under oath, that would be like an impeachable offense. So, anyway.
Yeah, I just want to see her get smacked out from underneath that Karen haircut.
I want to speak to your manager.
That's right.
Oh goodness. All right.
Anyway, just those points. I wanted to put them here because it just felt more appropriate.
Awesome. All right. Well, LT, I guess you didn't have any. I didn't either.
I did not.
All right. Well, then let's get into our sad and awe sauce. Aww. Do you want to start with this, LT?
I will. Renee from Fairburn says, my heart went out to Maggie and Rosita when they were looking for their kids. And she says, my son's 32 and I go into panic mode when he doesn't answer the phone. All kinds of crap start going through my head, and I can only imagine what they were thinking. And she has some sad and crying face emojis. Max crying was sad too. And she finishes up by saying the stormtrooper telling the warden he needs to see his brother because he doesn't know how long he had to live was sad too. And then the warden telling him that his transfer was denied because he didn't ask him first, and he added 6 extra months. More sad faces. I was so happy when that walker was eating him. And she has, looks like laughing, rolling on the floor emojis.
Yep. That was a good scene. All right. Well, thank you, Renee. Yeah, definitely. Like the power of the mom's love for their kids was in like high effect this episode. You don't want to mess with Maggie or Rosita and their kids.
Nope.
All right. Well, next is Ivan from Minnesota. He said, everyone coming together in front of the Commonwealth soldiers. Super emotional moment. Yep.
And I guess we'll finish up with Mike from Asheville, who says, watching the group try and find the kids. The emotion is pure desperation. It's the sole mission at this point. Rosita and Maggie are going to do anything to bring them home.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was good. It was sad. It was just good television. Good acting.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Well, that was all of our listener sad and all sauces. So let's get into ours. Brian, looks like you had some, so go ahead and start.
I just had Oceanside's gone. None of us should be surprised, but it's still sad.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, and I agree with what LT's about to say.
Yep. And LT.
Yep. And my sad sauce was when Maggie rescued Herschel. And so we know, well, at least Herschel's safe. And after all the emotion, we saw Maggie go through when she had to put down the kid walker.
Yeah.
When she was able to, rescue Herschel and hug him. And that was at least the resolution of all that, all that uncertainty and all that anger.
Yeah.
But of course, there's going to be more because, where's Coco and Judith and RJ, and the rest of the kids?
Yep. And I assume we will find out next episode. But yeah, it's kind of like, you just have to do that to us. They only find the one. It's like, where are the rest? Whether or not they're even there, that's the question, I guess, because even Warden just kind of, I don't know what exactly he said, but his dying words before he got eaten was just like, you're all going to, yeah, they're blah, blah, blah. Alrighty. Yeah, I'll just add just to agree with the Oceanside's gone part, because it is one of those things where now that we are getting to this point, and we got introduced to Oceanside, and there was some really good like characters, just like that whole setting. How the Oceanside even became to be a part of our communities. That now we got into this point where it's like they really just kind of like just dropped them off, and like not being able to really see what happened, or just even more of like, it would have been interesting if we would have been able to see like how we got to see like, oh, here's what's going on over at Hillside. Oh, this is what's going over here at Alexandria. We got a little bit of what
they totally Chuck Cunningham'd Oceanside.
Yes. So it's just sad that we're not ever going to get kind of stories over there and like seeing.
I would say we still have 2 episodes left, so maybe they'll throw us a bone.
Oh, but maybe a flashback.
But I still think he went. I still think Oceanside went upstairs to its bedroom, never to be seen again.
Yeah. Oh well. All right. Well. All right. If there's nothing else left, then that leads us into our feedback.
We can talk about it. Done talking. Time to listen.
All right. Well, we got a voicemail. Yay! From none other than Renee. Always, every week. Love it, Renee. All right. So I will go ahead and we'll start off with hers.
Hi, guys. This is Renee from Fairburn. I'm calling in about The Walking Dead. OMG. When I tell you that this episode was so good from beginning to end to me, well, let me rephrase that. The trial with Eugene, that was Yumiko, that was good. Pamela bald-headed ass sitting up there crying them tackled out tears, that was all right. But it's Eugene. I don't like the fact that they make Eugene blubber all the time. They make him look like a blubbering fool. And I don't like that, because I feel that Eugene, he's not scary. I mean, look what he said when he was, speaking, when he gave his speech, and he was basically talking to Mercer, and he was saying that, he had to decide whether he wanted to do the right thing or, let it go, because he was just one person. But he made a difference, just one person. So and then Eugene told a tale, had Abraham and Sasha thinking that he had a cure. So I really don't think that Eugene is scary. I think that he has some insecurity issues that he had to overcome, but I feel like after everything that he has been through, that he has overcame those insecurity issues. So I hate the fact that they always have him blubbering like that. Like, allow him to man up. Allow him to build as a character, just like they allow Negan to redeem himself and build himself up as a character, made him become a better person. Allow Eugene to do that. I think they do him a disservice when they make him act like that and sit there and blubber and he crying. And that part right there, it just irks me. I'm not going to say it was not good. It just irks me. I just don't like that. And, Pamela is like, again, what I was saying in my, Facebook post, I really don't understand how she can sit on a stand and she can say, That's not my son's voice. That was Sebastian. That was not him. And people will fall for that. Like, you choose to fall for that. That's a choice. You choose to, because you know that was Sebastian just as well as she knows that was Sebastian. Like, I don't like that. And what I did not like, and it's not in just The Walking Dead, it's also when I watched like The Handmaid's Tale, even in C, and they was the sighted and the unsighted, and they had issues. I think the word is a caste program, like the higher up and the lower people. I think that's the word that I'm looking for. It's always there. It's always noticeable in every freaking show, because the higher class people, they were sitting up and they were sitting down inside the courtroom. The lower class people were standing up. It's just like, also to me, like when I watch civil rights movies or like the Emmett Till movie, A Time to Kill, like even doing back then, it was like that. And the white people would be in the courtroom and the black people would be standing up. Like, I just like, what the hell is wrong with society? What is wrong with us as human beings? Like, why do we feel like this is okay? Like, how dare they sit down? They're in the courtroom and they're sitting there looking all prissy and dressed up in their nice little, attire. And then the other people, the lower class, they're standing up. Like, how are you comfortable with that? I could never be comfortable with that. I don't find myself, not that I'm rich, so I don't know. And I don't know if it's just rich people or poor. I don't know. Like, what makes you think that this is okay? Like, that kind of stuff irks me so freaking bad. It really does. And like I said, it's not in just this show. It's all the shows. It's always like that. The Hunger Games, whatever. It's always going to be people that feel like, I'm above you. Even with, Negan them being at the, Negan them at the place where they were working. Free labor, just like slavery, free. I need you to do this so that the upper class, the people with money or with positions or whatever, so they can live good. Like, that irks my soul. And it's in all the shows. Like I said, it's in all the shows. That really irks me. But overall, the episode was good. I'm like, man, there's some really nice looking men in this episode because the warden was nice looking. And then he brought Negan in there, and of course, Negan's nice looking. And then he freaking brought the stormtrooper, and I'm like, damn, he fine too. Like, what in the world? Like, they just kind of threw me off because I'm like, these are some nice looking brothers in here. So that, of course, hey, I noticed that. But like I said, the episode was, it was good. And Maggie, Rosita, that touched me because I'm a mom. So, that really touched me and I can relate and, everything. And, just the whole episode was good. I really enjoyed it. I'm really kind of leery about what's going to happen, later. I don't want anyone to die. I hear on a lot of podcasts, they were like, if they just allow someone to die. No, I feel like go out with a bang. Don't let nobody die. Allow everyone to live. What's wrong with that? Walking Dead been killing people from the very beginning. Allow everyone to live. And a lot of people were like, oh, Luke, he's back. Really? It's like, Luke? Oh, okay. I haven't seen him in forever. To me, that's like he's coming back. Seriously, I really didn't care. I forgot all about him, the lady, whatever, like that, and then the freaking walker. I know that's what I forgot to put on my, Facebook post. The walker that picked up the knife. Did he intentionally fall? Did he actually see the knife drop and did he intentionally fall down? Okay. Now I said when the variants showed themselves previously in the other episode that I didn't think that was a whisper. I'm thinking he might be a whisper. Like the other ones I didn't think was a whisper, but I don't know because it's like, how the hell did he know to just fall down, get the knife and get back up? That was now a variant. Opening doors, climbing, I can see that, but intentionally fall down, or whatever he did, grab the knife and get back up, that's too much. I'm not, please leave that where it is. Leave it exactly where it is. But I cannot wait to see what happened. Like I said, I'm a little nervous about, I just pray that I want everyone to live, And then I wanted to mention to you guys, I listened to the podcast. I think the podcast from 2 weeks ago, I just listened to it. And you all were saying thank you to us so much for, writing in, giving our feedback, and I want to thank you guys as well. You, Kyle, Brian, I know you busy. I know the feeling, brother. Trust me, I know the feeling. But we appreciate you guys too, taking the time out. And I know Kyle, he has the farm. And like LT say, this is not your regular job, so we appreciate you guys as well. Let me tell you. I listen to a lot of podcasts because while I'm at work or while I'm driving back and forth to work or I'm at the gym or whatever. But you guys, and like I said, and normally I'll interact with them or I call in. This is the only podcast because I've been so busy. So I can relate. I've been freaking busy. So I understand. And I appreciate you guys. I salute you guys. I thank you for keeping it up. If y'all don't do no other podcast, I'm okay with it. Whatever. I appreciate you guys. Y'all don't have to ever think about it. As long as Walking Dead come on, guess what? You got me. I'm gonna be right there with you guys. Take the time, do what I need to do, because guess what? That's what you guys do. And I just want to tell you, thank you. I love you. Keep up the good work. All right. Peace and love. Talk to you guys later.
Thank you, Renee. That feels. Yes, thank you. We all appreciate that, and
yes, we do.
It's we're all busy. Everyone's busy, and you know, we do this for you all, and so.
Yeah, and I've been busy, and thankfully, I have a little bit of a break. So,
lucky you.
Yeah, although my wallet may suffer for the break, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But so whenever I can attend, I will attend, and thankfully I can attend, so I'm attending.
Yay! And we always love it.
Yeah, and Renee, we love you, and thank you so much for being such a great listener, and you've been with us for a very long time, and we appreciate you.
Yes. Here. Oh,
much love from us.
Yep. Oh, well, all right. Well, she had some interesting comments. I just wanted to add, it's interesting, what you, or your feelings about Eugene, because it's kind of the same that my husband kind of has, because he doesn't like the way he talks. And I can see when we first
understand that.
Yeah, and I can see I remember when we first met Eugene, and then even like into like the next season or whatever, that was kind of part of his, his stick. And, it took some time to kind of get used to it. At least I know for me it did. But, it's like after all this time and seeing how much he's grown as a character, that it's got, he does talk in that certain way, the choice of words and stuff like that. But, like seeing his speech that he made, it just like, it was really, 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 really good. And, I guess to each his own, because I know I can see how it can might turn some people off, just being like, why does he have to talk like that all the time?
Yeah.
And he does,
but I thought his speech was really good.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
And then, like I kind of put in here about like, just kind of like the, we have, I guess, the caste system, like I think you just wrote, Brian, but it's like, and like, there's the levels of power, or the levels of like the citizenry of this kind of basically dictatorship. That,
I mean, if you think about it, like practically every bad guy that we've had on the show has had this kind of caste system of some sort. Like even the Whisperers, there was a hierarchy there, and you could even say in Terminus there was a hierarchy. you either were among them or you were eaten. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But certainly in whatchamacallit, in the Saviors at they definitely had Sanctuary. They had a caste system because there was, the ones that worked for Negan and got all the preferential stuff. And for that matter, the ones that married Negan, they were obviously given preference. But then there were, the workers that, kind of lived on the shop floor and, didn't have walls. They were just basically, their walls were, essentially
curtains.
Curtains. Or like putting their laundry up or something, it wasn't
Right.
much.
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely does seem to be a thing on this show. And it's a thing, and I don't like it. I think I've grown as a person in my 55 years on this planet. And I think that at this point, pretty much everyone is equal and they should be treated equally. And it doesn't matter, whether you have no money or you have all the money, or you're Black, you're Asian, you're, of a different religion, whatever it is. Everyone's the same. Everyone's equal, and they should all have equal opportunity to everything. And this Commonwealth system, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's addressed slightly in the next episode, with something that she says, the governor. And I don't like it. And I agree with you, Renee. It's just not a thing. It shouldn't be a thing. And you would think that in the apocalypse, that kind of thing would drop. But if you think about it again, it's some old habits die hard. And I tend to think that, like in the kingdom, right? You have a king, and you could think, well, maybe there was some inequality there, but I don't think so, because I think he treated everyone equally. He just was a leader because he needed to be, right?
Yeah, right. Well, and I mean, it just goes to the point of that, this is kind of humanity in a nutshell. Like we're, this is throughout our history. This is just how things are. It's like there's always this power struggle. There's always the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
And, we are always, it's very idealistic to think, oh, well, we're the most intelligent species thing on the planet, that because of that, we should be able to get past these differences and actually work together. Because really, like, if the whole entire world would just work together because we're all the same, everything would be hunky-dory. But that's just like, that's not the case.
Hunger would go away, and
we wouldn't have wars.
Poverty would, wars, poverty, all of that would go away.
But humans are...
I remember a class in college where, despite some of the more sectarian things, if you look at the core values of most of the world's major religions, it's all, love one another, take care of one another, don't be a dick. And if we could aspire to be our better selves, but sort of to your point, Kyle, one of the things that, makes the human species interesting is that, yes, we do have the capacity to be selfless and to do so many amazing things. And we also have the capacity to be incredibly selfish and short-sighted and cruel to one another. It's, part of that human condition.
Yep.
And I think that it's back to why certain things appeal to people is there's always realistic goals and there are aspirational goals. So the key is try to keep the good things in mind and aspire for better.
Yeah. Yeah. And just in regards though to like for TV or movie or for like this show that we're watching, set in this zombie apocalypse, it's like there is also the story to tell of good versus evil. And this is, these kind of caste systems or these like, like the societies that you're like talking about. It's like, this is how we get, because we all are good inside. We all want good things, that's human nature to, want to, be happy and have better things. And so it's like in this thing, this is kind of the story where it's like, well, yeah, our people, even though they've done some bad things, but it's like they are good and they want to help, other people who are being oppressed and stuff like that. So, I mean, it is getting them doing this is just one of those ways of showing the kind of power struggle and also like of, the good versus evil. And Pamela obviously is evil because and our people are good and they're going to go and try to knock her down, and hopefully we do get to see things get better. But
Yep.
There'll always still be another Lance Hornsby though. Always is.
There always is.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about not wanting to see anyone to die, and I would be totally fine and agree with that. But this is The Walking Dead, and we have only a few more episodes left that I'm pretty sure we're going to see someone die.
We're going to see somebody die.
Yeah, not just like Pamela or like a bad person or someone more like we want dead, but I worry about our people.
We already saw a bad guy die. We saw Hornsby die. So, but I believe we will see some good people die. Unfortunately, they will not go on to the next show. The question is who,
Yeah. Right. We know their plot armors and the spin-off armors are in effect, but I feel like we're going to lose somebody. Oh, hopefully not Jerry. He's got to have his Kingdom 2.0. I think he's probably safe. All right. Well, thank you again, Renee, as always. And thank you. Yeah, we're still trekking through, and there's plenty more Walking Dead after this. So, we'll definitely look forward to you joining us with your wonderful feedback and voicemails. All right.
Yeah, we have no intention of going away with the end of The Walking Dead and Fear. Although Fear would.
Fear will never go away.
If Fear was the last show, anyway. But we're gonna keep going and cover the new stuff as it comes. I just hope it's good.
Yeah. I think so. Fear. Well, I think we have fun when we cover Fear. So.
Oh yeah, we have fun.
Yes.
And and that's the thing with Fear. Once in a while, it's good. Sometimes it's really good, or at one point, it's been really good that we remember. So we just keep waiting for it to be good again.
So we'll see with the Padre baby snatchers and Madison.
Wait a minute.
We'll see.
Did you say Padre?
Padre. Oh, goodness. That will be here soon enough. What, February? Anyways. Renee did leave some written feedback, but it pretty much was what she had talked about in the voicemail. So I will go into Dietta's, which is next. Dietta's feedback, she said, I need Daryl and Jerry's wife to get that Rosita energy. I need to see more. Where are our kids? Why was only Herschel found? Where are the other kids? Question mark. That Commonwealth trial is a joke, clearly. It's biased, and the Commonwealth people are being written as true suckers. They heard and saw everything that happened with their own eyes, but still believe the Commonwealth is for them. Especially after Pamela stated it wasn't her son's voice. Like, how was it not? ? Eugene is a talented audiovisual expert, but voiceovers that obviously requires a lot more technology than what's available in the apocalypse, I believe. Shrug. Yeah, I think, and we've kind of talked about that, and just going on about, I definitely think we can agree that the Commonwealth citizenry know of the shady things, but because they do have a roof over their head, they get to kind of live the old way of life. That's how Pamela's been keeping her power. It's like people know that, like, hey, if I want to lose this, then I'm like, I need to basically do what she says or just deal with the fact. I'm sure a lot of those people in the Commonwealth know someone that went missing and are just sitting there like, well, but I can't do anything. Even Mercer kind of says, like, I can't do anything. It's like, this is better than nothing, right? So, I mean, once, like what Eugene was saying, it's like one person can change the world. And, if enough people start kind of saying, hey, no, this is not cool, and more people finally get brave enough to, like, okay, just like we saw with our people, it's like stand up together, like there's power in numbers, and I'm hoping that that's what we're getting ready to see coming down the next episodes. She goes on and she says, love seeing the out on the road crew, Aaron, Jerry, Elijah, and Lydia, and they found others in the woods, people Luke and Jules, who tells them Oceanside has been taken as well, which we already knew, but they left us hanging with that one. Love Lydia using her whisperer skills to determine what a threat out in the woods she knows humans' movements differ from the walkers and how to blend in with the horde, just which they had put on the dead mask to complete the look. Yeah. Although I think that would take time, and I think they were short on time. But yeah, they just smeared some guts on them, put their ponchos on. She goes on, they didn't even cover their faces with the walker guts. Facepalm. I was like, keep your head down so they won't see you. And why did the Starship Troopers insist on riding around shining the lights on the walker herd? You would have thought they learned the lesson about driving up to herds. I still need Aaron to put that weapon of mass destruction on that hand, but I guess he left it. So, not smart, yeah. He has a sword, but it's not the same. Overall, great episode. Yep. All right, next.
All right, we've got some more feedback from Ivan from Minnesota. He says, this episode was great and really has me hyped for the last two. Negan's scene where he's going to sacrifice himself is incredible, and this episode almost gave me flashbacks to episode 7. Okay, to series, I guess it was season 7, episode 1 with the lineup lights, and this time Negan and his wife were on the other end of the bat, or rather the gun. Also, props to the soldiers for doing the right thing, and I want Pamela to go down. As do we all, Ivan.
Yep. Brian, you want to take Mike?
Mike from Asheville says, Pamela made a big mistake taking the kids. By doing so, she brought the downfall to her rule. Now that Mercer is on board with some soldiers, Pamela is going down soon. I predict they wrap this up next episode. I also have a suspicion how this will end. Would you like to elaborate? We finally learn what happened to Oceanside. Push that community out of the way of the storyline. Lydia is back walking with walkers. Are they trying to lead the herd to the Commonwealth? I think so. Mm-hmm. Just when we thought there no more smart zombies, here comes Stumbler to pick up the knife. Wonder if that will come back into play. Did we see Princess at the camp before, or was all that new this week? I'll answer that. We didn't see Princess last week, but we can assume that she was there because she was mentioned. I mean, well, I guess she was mentioned when Yumiko mention it to Mercer, but he knew anyway. But she wasn't. I didn't see her at all last episode.
No.
Nice and convenient to gather our group into one section for an easier rebellion. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. It's like they didn't learn anything from Ginny, from Fear, who was at least smart enough to separate everyone.
Ginny.
Yeah. Anyway, that warden was a douche. He's like a knockoff version of Negan, to which Negan knew and played to his advantage. Great episode, only 2 left. Clearly, next episode is going to be huge. I'm curious to see how they wrap up certain things. Maggie went insane over finding Herschel, yet she's supposed to be going to New York. Well, we don't know that yet, but we can assume. Which means she has to leave him or take with. Yeah, that's a good point, but I have to think that they're not going to kill off Herschel. No, Same with Negan. He's just going to have a baby and then leave. For as much as these parents love their kids, they sure do like leaving them with other people.
Yeah.
And Renee replied, she says, I feel the same way about them just up and leaving their children. Michonne has a lot of explaining to do. I still feel some way about her leaving Judith and RJ. Well, I mean, we've talked about it, and unfortunately, this is where plot and reality
cross paths,
converge, and end up making characters making dumb story, decisions and things that don't make sense, and leaving Judith behind doesn't make sense. It doesn't. But then again, her leaving doesn't make a lot of sense either.
Right. Yeah.
You would think that she would, if anything, if she was going to leave, she would go with someone else, not leave on her own. Because where's she going to look? Right.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, this does make me wonder about the time frame of the New York, and then, because obviously, we're going to have Negan, who's going to be having a child, and Maggie with Herschel's, and then they somehow are pairing up to go, to New York. So I'm just curious, are we going to kind of have a somewhat of a time jump, and then everybody's hunky-dory back at Hilltop or Alexandria or even the Commonwealth, and all the kids are safe and everybody's whatever, but then for something draws them into this new mission or whatever to New York. I mean, we could definitely see how Maggie and Negan are now much more not they still don't really like each other, but they're not 100% at odds with each other. So, I think we were talking about when we heard about the spinoff, they were just like, how the heck are you going to have Negan and Maggie doing anything together? She hates him, to now it's kind of well, now Negan's kind of getting, the redemption, and, he's not looked on as being completely 100% bad. Yes, he did some bad things, but they're starting to kind of forgive him, or not forgive, but let him, move forward in the group.
Yeah.
They forgave Father Gabriel.
Yeah. Well, Father Gabriel didn't, I hate to say it, but the thing that he did, the worst, happened to other people.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, it's easier to forgive something that happened to other people versus something that happened to you.
Right.
Just one of those things.
I understand, and I acknowledge that point. I'm just saying.
No, that's a good point.
Oh, it's a good point.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mike. All right. Well, next is Glynis from Toronto, and she kind of broke this down to three different scenes. So first she goes on to talk about Outpost 22, or Alexandria. She says, divide and conquer with Connie and Daryl getting into Alexandria via the sewers, or more eloquently put by Daryl, citing shit tunnel to Connie.
That was funny. That was funny.
I do have to say, I love the interactions between Connie and Daryl.
I do too.
They everybody was talking about oh, hey, what are we doing? What this and that, and they're both sitting there signing to each other, having a different conversation almost.
Right.
She goes on. Carol and Maggie thought the route somehow to the basement door to the Alexandria house. Rosita and Gabriel on Overwatch from outside. Connie and Daryl in the shit tunnel sewers brought back memories of Aaron and Maggie in those sewers back when Maggie wanted to get out to find Glenn, when Alexandria was surrounded by walkers in The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 5, titled Now. And also reminded of Rick, Michonne, and Carl down in the sewers when they were attacked by the Saviors and Carl was bitten and dying. Carol talks about Gabriel and Rosita being the sharpshooters of the group, but man, Maggie shot that trooper dead center in the head and then reunited with Herschel. Don't cross Mama Bear, number 1 example. And the warden, man with no name, rescinded on the deal with Negan by including Negan's wife. That story plot was a little badly managed as that came out of nowhere with them suddenly dragging Negan out to the windmill. So some scenes must have ended up on the editor's floor with the classic line, "On your knees," must have jogged Negan's memory there a tad. Huh. Yeah, I guess interesting. She goes on, I noticed that the windmill wall was already full of blood smears from other shooting squad results, right? Yeah, I think that was kind of the point that they use that often to execute. Finally, Negan gets the total support from Ezekiel, and he's willing to give his life for Negan. Although it was probably more for Negan's wife than Negan, I suspect. So then the whole group is standing by Negan, and the trooper sees the light and swivels and kills the other soldier that was not going to turn. But he then did eventually turn into a walker. Smiley face. And then used as a weapon. The warden, man with no name, then took Kelly hostage. His last stupid decision, and Carol cut him down, and then enter Mama Bear example 2 with Rosita asking where Coco is located. Yep. That whole scene was really, really good. It did. I would only land one thing that did kind of cross my mind though, was why did I get that they were kind of making an example, but man, the Alexandria, or at least what they were walking to get to the windmill, was a very big, wide area. And then all the prisoners are all coming out, and there was maybe 9 soldiers, if that. So I don't know. It seemed very okay, this is it's not like they were corralled into some kind of really small kind of walkway or things with barriers or gates or whatever. They just let everybody, hey, come watch. And then, you would think that it's okay, well, you know how bad the common soldiers are, that someone could be hey, why don't I just go around the church that we just came out of and start heading, finding a way out.
Well, maybe they're inside the fence.
I didn't see one, so that's why I was kind of it just is seemed very
Alexandria still has a fence.
No. Not the inside of the walls. It was just they were out in this big open.
Right.
Kind of
and
field.
That's what I'm saying is that even though they were out in the open, they're still inside the walls.
No, true. But then there's also a whole bunch of houses, neighborhood, kind of a neighborhoodish kind of setting. So,
but I think their theory was we've got guys on the gate. We've got enough people that are watching the walls. And if you hide in a house, then it'll just be that much worse when we find you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I was expecting a little more confinement.
LT theory too. If the Commonwealth soldiers are that big of dumbasses, then maybe the Commonwealth people are that big of dumbasses, and they don't think about, hey, we could hide in this building. We could run over here and nobody would see us.
Yeah. True.
It's like, oh, they're guarding us, so I guess we're guarded and we have to stay here.
Yeah, like we can't run away or do anything. But yeah, I don't know. It still is like, I don't know. It just is the kind of like, okay, yeah, it's like, I know the Alexandria, it's not like a huge place, but there's lots of places to hide, and like, you know, and they can't have a guard on every single corner and that. Anyways, that's enough of that. All right. Well, then her next segment was on the road again. So she says, so we know the outcome of Lance's coin flip in front of the lined up folks at Oceanside. Yep. They're gone. Lydia the Walker Whisperer saves the day, and they manage to dodge the troopers with their jeeps and spotlights. Agree with the other comments, though. The spotlights did on numerous occasions clearly reveal some of the group, with their faces clean and glowing and clean of any gunk. And Jerry, who I would think would stick out like a sore thumb in a horde of walkers.
Jerry.
Sumo walker.
And then the last segment, she goes, the Commonwealth trial. Okay, she says, Eugene's closing speech was a good one. And talking about the bat kills when in Outpost 22, the man he didn't name. He didn't name Negan, was redeeming himself and doing good for once. The trial, more like a kangaroo court, was just for show, so Pamela could maintain control of her subjects. Pamela was looking so smug when she walked off out of the court. Agreed. I was one of the adds more to the I can't wait to see her die, and I hope it's a fitting death.
Yep.
And so Mercer is finally on the right side. I wonder if he'll show Pamela some mercy. A little smiley face. Well, so you're thinking that Mercer is the one that's going to end Pamela? That will be interesting.
No. I don't think it would be Mercer, because Mercer, while a good choice, I think would be too obvious.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking maybe that Tyler Davis as an option. Either he's going to be involved or he's going to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm thinking, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, okay, well, are they just going to give us the obvious choices? Which, of course, you know, you could say Daryl, you know, that like he would be the one because he's kind of our Rick Grimes stand-in, or at least one of the Rick Grimes stand-ins. If you could say Maggie would be one. Maggie would be an obvious choice because, hey, you took her kids and she's mad. So yeah, if it's Tyler, like if he, someone non-main characters.
Yeah, but I have my little hope.
Who?
Look at the flowers, Pamela. Look at the flowers.
Yeah, and that would actually, I would be 100% for Carol doing that. So
then like again, it could be Yumiko's brother who gives her an unnecessary surgery.
I'm going to rip out your pancreas.
Or bakes her an exploding cake.
Oh, look at the flowers, Pamela. Look at the flowers. All right. Thank you, Glennis, for the nice rundown there. Good episode. Got more coming. All right. Well, that was everybody's feedback. Did you guys have any feedback to add?
I do not, other than to say that it was a really good episode, and I think that it will set things up quite well for the last two.
Yep. Yeah, it is kind of getting to this point now. There's only 2 left.
And yeah, I don't want to say anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
and just to carry the final point that you made, Brian. It doesn't show a commercial on his IMDb credits, but the warden was in Super Troopers.
Ah, okay.
The first Trooper?
Yes, he was one of the officers in Super Troopers.
Yeah, apparently
Officer Smee.
He is a Canadian actor, apparently.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Like
which, you know, it is my responsibility to highlight all Canadians.
Well, I love that movie, so now I'm trying to I think I know who it might be.
All right.
All right.
You know what time it is?
Yes, it's time for news, ratings, and info.
There's a couple weird stories on the news.
Yeah, well, as far as ratings are concerned, we actually have them. Okay, so as far as The Walking Dead, this week it got a 0.28 in the 18 to 49 demographic with 1.386 million viewers. This is down from last week's 0.29. Well, it's not down too much. And 1.495 million viewers last week. So it's down about 110,000 from last week. In the 25 to 54, it was at a 0.49 versus last week's 0.51. And in 50 and over, like LT and me, it got a 0.83 in the 50 and over, and that is versus last week's 0.92. In the Talking Dead, it got a 0.05 in the 18 to 49 with 321,000 viewers. That is up in the demographic where it had 0.03 last week and only up 2,000 viewers from last week because last week it got 319,000. Interview with a Vampire was up. It actually made the top 50 at number 28. I didn't say it, but Walking Dead was at number 4 for the day, and I think 2 for the evening because I think 2 of them were football. So that was earlier in the day. But anyway, it got a 0.10 in the 18 to 49 with 473,000 viewers. And last week it got a 0.07 with 465,000 viewers. I don't know why the demographics keep going up and down so much. So last week it got this week, because it was in the top 50, we also know demographics, it got a 0.14, 25 to 54, and 0.27, 50 and over. I know most of us probably don't care. I just bring them up simply because if they were playing Talking Dead when they're supposed to be playing Talking Dead, it might be getting the same or better ratings.
Numbers, yeah.
But in their infinite wisdom, it seems like Chris Hardwick is stuck at the 11 hour. So, Parrot Analytics, yet again, no Parrot Analytics. So I was creative this week and I went looking for the AMC Walking Dead page on Parrot Analytics. They actually have a page. So I looked it up and it runs a 30-day average there. So it was at 59 times the demand of an average show, which tells me that even though they're not doing the top 10 that they've been doing before, every week, at 59 times, if you look at the previous time where they had the top 10, you can see that at 59 it would be up quite a bit from the regular. So where it was like number 5 or number 6, it'd probably be number 4 or number 3 at this point. So that's good, and it is showing over the last 30 days a 30.8% change in demand. So this is something that you can't find on that other page. So this is interesting.
Yeah,
so 30.8%. I would expect as the weeks go on, this will go higher in the next couple of weeks. It also shows a 60-day trend of this. I'll post a link to this on the in the Facebook group. I haven't been posting ratings lately, but I'll post this. And also, it is 99.9 percentile rank of all dramas in the United States. So,
wow,
obviously very high. And versus the U.S. versus the world, where the demand for the U.S. is at 100%. Looking at other markets where the show is popular, the next popular is in Great Britain, where it's like half the demand at 51%. Brazil, I knew it was popular in Brazil. It's got a 48%. Germany at 44%. France, 42%. I wonder if that'll go up as the new show comes on. 39% in Canada, my home country. Russia at 38%. Italy, 33%. Actually, Italy, Netherlands, New Zealand, and Poland are all at 33%. Spain and Philippines at 32%. And AR, what country would that be?
Arkansas.
Argentina.
Argentina. Thank you, LT.
And you completely skipped over the fact that it's 35% demand in Australia.
Oh, I missed Australia. Yes, I did. I missed Australia. Sorry, Australians. Yes, you're at 35%. Yeah. So Argentina and I guess there's like 13, 14 countries there listed. Anyway, it's at 29%. So anyway, I'm not surprised about that because I know that there have been UK conventions with The Walking Dead and, so makes sense that would be popular there. And I know that it's popular in Brazil. I knew that already. I'd seen big conventions cover it there. So
when you talked about the 60-day trend, I'm sorry, I had to laugh when it said the weekly demand versus other apocalyptic dramas. So The Walking Dead is a much higher demand for apocalyptic dramas than any other apocalyptic drama.
Oh yeah, look at that. It has. I didn't even notice that. So there's a graph of The Walking Dead and then apocalyptic drama, and the apocalyptic dramas are roughly stable, but what would they be? What other apocalyptic dramas are there besides
Westworld?
Well, if you're are you counting like television or streaming? Because I know there's that Resident Evil.
I think
show.
it's all of that. Yeah, and there's a couple of zombie shows on Netflix. I know.
Yeah.
So
MSNBC.
MSNBC.
Well, so Walking Dead is definitely much more
popular.
My pipe. Yep. That's funny.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was interesting thing that I found.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's like it's actually kind of a lot of information that's kind of
and it'll be interesting. I'm gonna obviously have to pull this for next week too, whether or not they have the proper graphic or not, just to see how it changes the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
We'll see.
Cool. Yeah. We're getting to the end, and obviously with the finale not being like screened early, or it's all going to be happening when it airs everywhere. I'm expecting that to be a really big, huge boost in ratings, and it's going to be hopefully the highest television show for Sunday. It beats everything. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I would think it will do an improvement, but you never know.
Yeah, I hope so.
We don't know.
I think that the next thing that you're going to talk about here, I assume that's for.
Oh, that's old.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, okay, we'll still talk about it though. The fact that it's not going to be shown early, I think will help.
Yeah.
With ratings, because you
I
can't
think so too.
you can't watch it early on AMC Plus or AMC Premiere if you have that. I think they still have that. So basically that means that all of us, whether we have AMC Plus or not, will have to wait until 9 p.m. Eastern on the 20th to see the show. And I think that's great because that means people won't be spoiled. And
right.
Because the worst kind of thing for something like this would be it being spoiled.
Yeah. Have we heard any news if it's going to be longer than an hour?
I have not heard anything.
Yeah, I try to poke around seeing, and I mean, I get little like email notifications on just being like, oh, here's just news or just stuff that's being talked about. But yeah, I just was wanting to ask if any of you have heard anything like that, because
I mean. One way that you can check is like I know you have YouTube TV. If your guide goes far enough, usually they go back, they go up 2 weeks, so at this point you may have enough information there. If you look in the guide and go far enough ahead,
I'll have to do that because, I know in if you like pull up the show, like when I go to the DVR portion, you can see upcoming and then that will show it. But right now, nothing's showing up as upcoming. Because then even YouTube TV, you can subscribe to AMC Plus. And so usually the next episode is already available when it's available at AMC Plus. But I just looked at when I did my rewatch today and there was nothing showing for it.
Is that how you get AMC Plus?
No, I get it through direct.
I didn't. As do I.
Well, because I couldn't get I don't think using the YouTube way to subscribe when I bought this, I did it during Christmas last year. Yeah. And got the discount, and I don't think you can do that with AMC Plus.
Yeah. And I got it at a time when it was a big discount as well, and I paid yearly. So.
Yep. Same here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which is funny because, with Paramount Plus, I still pay monthly. So.
Nope. Same here. I never changed.
I should change that at some point, but
and that's the thing. Like with T-Mobile, I just got another they give where they'll pay for a subscription. So they have one for Paramount Plus.
Yes, they do. It's the commercial version.
Right. And so I said, no, I will pay more because I like not having to deal with the commercials.
I believe it is discounted if you get it through them. But my problem is I still have it still have it through my own thing. And I read about it and it says, yes, you can get it, but you have to sign up with a separate email. And so I did sign up just in, I thought in case I didn't have the money to pay 1 month or something, or if the show's off for, Star Trek's off for a couple of months or something like that, I might just drop the regular subscription and go to the commercial version for a while. I don't know. Anyway, that is not The Walking Dead. So
yeah. So
Blaine wants to say something.
You've blamed it a couple of times already.
I know.
What is this bizarre segue that's happening right now? Can we maybe stay on point?
All right. Well, with that, then let's. LT, do you want to tell people how they can interact with us?
I shall. We want to encourage you to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. That's at Walking Dead TTM. To submit your theories and feedback, most people post in our designated episode thread in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/WalkingDeadTTM. You can send us email. That's walkingdead@talkthroughmedia.com. You can also use our feedback form on the webpage. That's at talkthroughmedia.com/feedback. If you'd like to leave us voicemail, remember you can call 216-232-6146. And all of our new episodes are on YouTube. Just search for Talk Through Media and remember to subscribe and click that bell to get notified when we have new videos. Those videos go out first before the podcast does.
And to support us, like and review the Talk Through Media Facebook page. You can find that at facebook.com/talkthroughmedia. And as always, the best way you can support us is in our Patreon. You can find that at patreon.com/walkingdeadtalkthrough. And we would like to thank our Patreon supporters, Mike Rollo, Scott Kerr, Renee Murray, Dieta Patterson, that guy over there, Lawrence Todd.
Hello.
And this guy, me, Kyle McAdams. Remember that Mike, Scott, Dieta, and Renee will be getting an early episode of a version of the episode this week. You can subscribe to us in Apple Podcasts or your podcast client of choice. And while you're there, give us a rating or review. You can also leave us a review at podchaser.com. There you can actually rate individual episodes or the whole podcast. And as always, remember to share our posts on Facebook and Twitter when we post them, or tell a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to get us new listeners. So, Brian, what else can we be listened to on our network?
Well, we got through all the, as I mentioned in the last episode, we got finally through all the Strange New Worlds episodes. So now is Lower Decks and Prodigy are going on the feed. So the first two episodes of Star Trek Prodigy by Rebinge It are in our Star Trek podcast feeds. And Lower Decks, LT and I have recorded, and I think you were in the first one, weren't you? You were on the first episode?
Yeah.
So the first episode will have the three of us, and then the next two after that are just LT and me, but we still have to record episodes covering episode 5 and 6, 7 and 8, and 9 and 10. We're going to double them up for the rest of the way so that we can get through it. But that doesn't mean it's not a great show. So we'll just have fun covering 2 episodes at a time instead of 1.
Yay.
And of course, the Rebinge Deep Space Nine is still going on. They're now into season 6, and that's been going swell. Kim and James have been, going at it, and they're already talking about doing Voyager next. So good on them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excited about that.
Yep.
All right. Well, then next week, The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 23 is titled Family, written by is that Magali Lozano?
Can I read that?
Yes.
And so next week, we have The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 23, entitled Family. It's written by Magali Lozano and Eric Mountain and Kevin Diebold. It's directed by Sharat Raju. The description, according to AMC Plus, is the Alexandrians and the prisoners head back to the Commonwealth to confront Pamela Milton. Meanwhile, a swarm approaches the city.
You want to continue?
Where's shock horror?
I know. I was going.
Oh, I am not good at these little. Hold on.
Thank you. So until next time, I'm LT.
And I'm Kyle.
And I'm Brian.
And this is the Walking Dead Talk Through. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.